We are currently living through one of the most uncertain times we have ever experienced in the history of gaming. And not only the most uncertain, but also the strangest things that have never happened before. They're all happening together in this generation. We have Xbox publishing on PlayStation. We have PlayStation publishing premium paid multi-platform multiplayer. We have Nintendo canceling pre-orders in the United States and China. We have subscription services as the stars of the moment. We have $100 games and we have price increases everywhere. The main topic of today's video revolves around what's happening with PlayStation right now, because Sony has just communicated a new price increase for PlayStation 5. And it's an increase that most of you won't be affected by, because they are from very specific regions where most of you don't live. But either way, it's an increase that will affect us sooner or later. Because you know how this is. It begins with one, then others follow, and eventually you get used to being mistreated over time. Well, in today's video, we are going to start the week as it could not be otherwise, with a mountain this big sharp. Bad news, I'm not involved. I don't choose the news. Oh, well, actually, I do choose them, but I don't make them up. Well, sometimes. Let's talk about the big picture of what's happening with consoles, with PlayStation, with Nintendo, and also with Xbox. And what do you think if we start today's video by updating a bit on the situation of Nintendo Switch 2? Why do we still not know exactly what the hell is going to happen with Switch 2 in America? This is unheard of. The last thing we knew was that Trump put a stop to the tariffs for 90 days, and that supposedly there were not going to be any more extra taxes for Nintendo Switch, at least for 3 months. And in this context, supposedly Nintendo would be sending consoles to America to distribute throughout the continent. Let's see, I say supposedly because we don't know anything. Officially, Nintendo still has not made a statement on the matter. We don't know what the hell they are going to do in America. On the other hand, in the United States, other technology and gaming companies have suspended deliveries. They have suspended sales and distribution throughout the territory and in the territories that depend on the United States. I don't know exactly which brands are suspending and what other brands. No, because this changes every damn day. Razer, for example, decided to suspend distribution and product shipping in the United States from one day to the next. Obviously, the United States and all the territories that also depend on the United States. Apple and Nvidia are two others that were about to get screwed, really screwed, and therefore about to screw over all of Latin America. But maybe not, because everything changed again this weekend and the tariff rules were modified. And it seems that smartphones and chips and semiconductors, well, they are exempt from Trump's taxes for an indefinite period of time, or something like that. On April 16th, the supposed launch day for the 5060 and 5060 Ti occurred. So far it remains so, although we don't know if this date is going to be affected or not going to be affected. Because as I tell you, not only Nintendo, but no company is giving any kind of certainties. At least regarding everything occurring in the United States, and even since Trump's administration. They added that while there are exempt products such as some laptops, Apple and Nvidia products, well, these exceptions, they're going to end whenever they feel like it. From one day to the next? It's funny, but it's actually not funny, it's worrying. I mention all this first because it's all related. Today we live in utter chaos. No one knows what's really happening with the United States, China, Vietnam, or what will ultimately unfold. Where is the total addressable market distribution and everything else going to go? But in today's video, not only is the total addressable market screwed, Europe is also screwed. We must be inclusive because if we get screwed, we all get screwed together, hand in hand. As we have already discussed on this channel, everything that happens with the United States and with technology and with whatever you can think of that might happen, it affects us all in one way or another because the United States is one of the main markets in the world. And while the Chinese said recently, in fact, I think it was yesterday, that they don't care 3 kilos of vegetables about what happens in the United States because they are China anyway. The Chinese literally said that. They said we have existed for 5,000 years, and for most of that period, the United States did not exist, so we don't care. Literally, did the Chinese say that? regardless of whether the Chinese are going to be okay. The issue is what is going to happen to us in Latin America. We have already made this clear several times. I've also touched on the topic several times, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. Well, while global uncertainty dominates us and leaves us without knowing exactly what is going to happen with Nintendo Switch 2, because this console still has no pre-orders in America and in China, it's total madness. While we don't know the final price of the console, nor when it's going to be released, nor how we're going to manage to buy a Nintendo Switch 2, those of us who are in America, there are two other companies that seem to be each in their own fantastic world, and I obviously refer to the competition. On one hand, we have Xbox, which doesn't seem to be too worried about everything that's going on, about the tariffs and all that. That hasn't issued a single statement regarding the prices of console distribution. Microsoft continues to consider launching a portable console, and it's unclear if they are untouchable in this market. Recently, Spencer, the head of Microsoft, hinted again that a new portable Xbox console will be released this year. That is, it seems that Xbox is in its own world, super happy, living its own reality, and very happy to be. Multi-platform. And seeing how Xbox games are among the best-selling in PlayStation history, when we realized that in 2020, they were selling us the Play, 5 Xbox Series and all that. There was a fierce competition between PlayStation and Xbox, with both sides determined to outdo the other and coming with their best offerings. And now we see PlayStation that has no exclusives. Almost Play 5 has been around for 5 years, and it's the PlayStation console with the fewest exclusives that ever existed. I think the count was 13 games. And many are remakes or reissues of games already released, or trash that was forgotten like Destruction All-Stars. And on the other hand, we have Xbox publishing on PlayStation. It can't be, really. It can't be. What they sold us 5 years ago doesn't exist today. Not even close. I'm unsure if that sentence was correct. Well, while all these unreal things are happening that had never happened before, something happens again that had happened for the first time 3 years ago, and it was a historic event. And this just happened right now. Today, April 14th, in 2022, a unique event occurred in the entire history of PlayStation and in the entire history of the damn video game consoles. And that is after the launch of a console. After 2 years on the market, this console increased in price. I'm referring to PlayStation 5, which on August 25th, 2022, announced it would increase in price. Why? Many factors like inflation and cost increases have led to this situation. And today, April 14th, the same thing happens again. It's a doubly historic event because for the first time in the history of gaming, a console suffers 2 price increases in its useful life. PlayStation 5 has increased its price again. Of course, and you who are very smart and are very aware of everything because you are subscribers to this channel, are you thinking? Of course, the price of PlayStation 5 in the United States has gone up as a result of Trump's tariffs. Wouldn't that be kind of logical? No, not at all, not at all. PlayStation 5 increases its price in Europe. Why? Because yes, in its digital model, in the United Kingdom also in its digital model, and in Australia and New Zealand. Sorry, I stumbled. A big greeting to Big Data News subscribers in Australia. Kiss Boomerang, I know most of you aren't from Australia or New Zealand, so you don't care about this. And I know that many of you are from Europe, but also many of you already have your PlayStation 5 console. Or maybe you weren't going to buy the digital model, which is the only one that's increasing. But even though this doesn't directly affect many of you, it is a problem. Do you remember what happened a year after PlayStation increased the price of PlayStation 5 in 2022? Well, let me refresh your memory. A year after Sony increased their console prices, Microsoft did exactly the same and increased the price of the Xbox and their services as well. It doesn't matter if you are or aren't a potential customer of PlayStation 5 in the future, regardless of whether this is harming you, and no matter if you play on Xbox, Nintendo, PC, or any other platform. Because what's happening with PlayStation is a symptom of what's happening in the video game industry. In general terms, the model that we've been carrying on for all these years no longer works. Obviously, the video game industry, everything that was set up, can no longer be sustained. They laid off around 30,000 employees in the past 2 years across all the layoffs, and I'm unsure of the full extent. They closed studios, cancelled video games, exclusive titles failed, and things that had never happened before. What happened with Concord last year? We laughed at the anecdote. It was fun, but it's historic. Xbox needing to publish on PlayStation. Because if the typical Xbox fanatic comes and says, now Xbox triumphs on PlayStation, no. Xbox does not triumph on PlayStation. Xbox is needing PlayStation to sell games. It's crazy. PlayStation triumphs on PC. No, PlayStation does not triumph on PC. PlayStation needs the PC or it dies. The main video game franchises need to publish series or movies to sell games. It's crazy. The titles are nearing $100 because if we now start with Grand Theft Auto 6, it's going to cost more than $100. Nintendo sells games at $80, but they have already been selling us games at $100. It's been a while because if they sell it to you at $70, it's cut into pieces. The game is incomplete without the DLCs and day one access. Buying it complete costs around $100. The price increase from PlayStation is another red flag that everything is going downhill. Inevitably, because either something changes radically, or they stop spending $300 million to make a video game, or they change the publication model, or they lower the costs. Console manufacturing could be disrupted or moved, causing major issues. Because money is worth less and less, because that is a reality. Inflation is beastly. Regardless of where you live in the world, the value of your money is diminishing. It happens all over the world and things try to maintain their price over time. That is, things cost us more and more. Logically, companies don't want to lose money. I'm not here to justify anyone, but it's a reality. We earn less and less. Companies try to maintain their profits. And we are increasingly filled with garbage and things that go wrong. It has to explode eventually. I think it's already exploding. What a way to start the week. I don't know what's going to happen looking forward. I don't know if this is going to make Xbox say, well, you know what? I also increased my consoles. I have no idea. But everything points to the fact that in the future, gaming is going to become a bit more inaccessible. Or at the very least, we'll need to access it differently. Perhaps before, if we bought a couple of new games per month, maybe there will be fewer. Maybe we have to go back to that time when we bought physical copies and exchanged them with colleagues, with friends, to say, look, I buy this one, you buy the other one, and then we exchange them. It's not bad. We grew up like that. Honestly, we're not going to die for doing that. I, in fact, work on this, and I do it with my friends. We may need to adapt to the reality that gaming was never a right. It's a luxury, and it seems to be increasingly a more expensive luxury, harder to maintain. In the meantime, expect more bad news. End of the video.